Now, viewers, let's speak to Jonathan Spire, who's a British-Israeli analyst and writer. Thank you, Mr. Spire, for joining us here on CNN News 18. I have to ask you this question straight off the bat. How much is Iran to blame for its own predicament?
Well, I think to a great extent it is to blame in the sense that Iran has been, for years now, supporting a network of proxy political and military organizations, Islamist organizations, which it has directed to make war on Israel as a part of a broader stated strategy by Islamic Republic of Iran for the destruction of Israel. And one of these client organizations was, of course, or is, of course, the Hamas organization, which chose to launch war against Israel from its Gaza area of control on October 7th, 2023. And subsequent to that attack and Israel's response to it, Iran then mobilized additional proxy organizations, most importantly, the Hezbollah organization from Lebanon on October 8th, and then the Houthi movement from Yemen in November of 2023. And then in April 2024, Iran chose to launch a direct attack on Israel using ballistic missiles and drones. And it then launched an additional attack in October of that year. So what we can talk about is decades really now of a long war strategy of Islamic Republic of Iran against Israel, intending to result in Israel's destruction. Then the commencement of war by the proxies in October 2023, and then Iran's own entry into the war. And Israel's direct response and direct attack on Iran this month, followed by the American operation, is in response to this long campaign of aggression, intending to bring it to an end, or at least to drastically reduce the capacities of the Iranians to prosecute that strategy.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Why hasn't there been, in your assessment, greater support for Iran among Gulf nations? What's the problem? What's holding them back?
Well, I think that the Gulf nations, at least in a way, maybe even all the Gulf GCC member states, perhaps with the exception of the Emirate of Qatar, are themselves deeply worried about the Iranian regional project in which Iran seeks to emerge as the hegemonic power in the Middle East, replacing what it sees as the declining power of the United States of America and its allies. The Gulf monarchies, fragile in their nature, are deeply concerned about this. They don't wish to come under the boot, so to speak, of Iranian domination. Now, of course, their response to the Iranian project is not always to challenge it directly in the way that Israel does, because they lack the capacity to do that. Often they try to accommodate themselves to the Iranian advance. But that doesn't mean to say that they like it. They would like to see the Iranians pushed back. They would like to see Iranian power reduced. They don't in any way see the Islamic Republic of Iran as a natural ally of theirs. On the contrary, Iran, regarding itself as a revolutionary power, would like to bring down the monarchies of the Gulf, were it to have its way. So in this sense, the Gulf monarchies have no reason at all to express solidarity with the Islamic Republic of Iran. And I don't think we should be surprised that they're not doing so.
Well, just to take this forward, this is an interesting point. Some say there are silent takers for America's bombing run in the Arab world. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do agree with that. I mean, I have no doubt really that in the capitals of, for example, United Arab Emirates, and I would think probably of Saudi Arabia and certainly of Bahrain, there is a certain amount of quiet pleasure taken both in Israel's reduction of Iranian strength and capacity, and then, of course, in America's very decisive intervention against Iranian uranium enrichment capacity over the last couple of days. I have no doubt that the Gulf Arabs are very pleased to see Iranian power the Iranian wings being clipped, so to speak. After all, the Iranian proxy project is directed in its own way also against the Gulf Arab states. After all, the Iranians were active in Bahrain, which of course has a Shia Muslim majority and therefore is vulnerable to Iranian agitation. And the Revolutionary Guards Corps activities in Bahrain, trying to foment revolution in Bahrain, go back to the very first days, actually, of the Islamic Republic of itself. In fact, the Islamic Republic of Iran targeted Bahrain by these methods, actually prior to its targeting of Lebanon and others, where these methods gained more traction and have gained it more fame. So the Gulf Arabs know that they are on the crosshairs, so to speak, of Islamic Republic of Iran. And for that reason, they're happy to see it pushed back, but also in their wary nature, cautious about expressing those kind of sentiments in the public stage.
Well, thank you, Mr. Spire.
Network 18 decimates Times Internet with over 6 times more unique users on social media. Network 18, the undisputed leader of news networks, way ahead of the times.